you have a very, very difficult job, and I want to begin by kind of letting you describe what a difficult job it is. How many different ethnic groups are there in Afghanistan, or do you have a general idea?
Over a dozen.
Okay, and how many different major, what I'll call major languages?
Three or four major languages.
So you're dealing with people with different languages. Has there traditionally been a lot of religious freedom in Afghanistan?
There have been tension between religious parties, but Afghanistan generally has been historically a more moderate kind of relations among sects within Islam and in terms of relations with non-Muslim minorities as well.
As I understand it, there are many, many different ethnic groups, and the Taliban, insofar as they fight, it's not even a regular army, is it? It's a variety of different people who come and they go.
Yeah, there are tribes besides the ethnic groups, and there are political parties. There are the old elite of Afghanistan representing tribes and ethnic leaderships, and also there's the new elite now, which is as a result of what the chairman mentioned, America's encounter with Afghanistan. And they are all now around the table to negotiate a roadmap where they can have their differences, their different priorities and backgrounds, but they can live in a peaceful environment in Afghanistan and search and agree to a formula.
Okay. How many American soldiers passed away last year in Afghanistan?
Thank you for that question. Data I have is 17 U.S. military personnel passed away under hostile actions in 27.
What was it if you go back 3 or 4 years?
In 2019, the numbers were slightly elevated as violence had increased as the Taliban was posturing. But in recent years, the numbers were, in 2018, 13 service personnel were killed. 2017, there was 11. In 2016, there were 9. But since the February 29th agreement was signed, there have been no U.S. service personnel killed in Afghanistan.
I want you to repeat that again, because that's one of those things that you almost, if I repeat it back home, people won't even believe the numbers. Can you say that again?
0 U.S. service personnel have been killed since February 29th when we signed the agreement with the Taliban.
Wow, so in the last 7 months, no Americans have been killed in Afghanistan, right? That's what you're saying, 7 months without any, well, that's a pretty incredible job you guys are doing over there. Okay. I think there are people who feel that, and I realize you've got to hold some troops over there. It's important to hold some troops over there. But there are obviously people who feel, unless we kind of change some of the gender differences over there, that, we ought to maybe be a little bit, get more involved there. Are there any other countries around the world that if we begin to go down this path of America must get involved until they straighten things out, that you can imagine that maybe we also would have to get involved then if that's the standard?
Well, we have very many instruments in our toolbox, we stand proudly for the values that we have, that are universal values, but different instruments come to be brought to bear. When there is a threat to the national security, armed forces have their role and responsibility.
I'm under the impression, for example, Pakistan would be a country that, forced marriages, that sort of thing, not unusual honor killings. Right.
We obviously, that is inconsistent and with our values, and we oppose it, but we don't send the armed forces to enforce that change. We use economic leverage. We need diplomatic leverage, political relations, assistance programs to shape behavior. And I think we will continue to have leverage in Afghanistan And we would use that leverage to make sure that our values are respected and to the maximum extent possible.
We've done that a lot already. I mean, it's a great thing we did. I agree with my my subcommittee chairman here. We have made a lot of progress, haven't we?
Historic progress.
And because the United States was there, right?
Afghans are living longer because of our presence. They're living longer. They are healthier than they were, although still they have a long way to go. More Afghans have access to education. More Afghans have access to telephones, to communicating and networking with each other and with the rest of the world. It is a different country than it was in 2001. And I keep telling, and when I talk with the Taliban, that this is not their father's Afghanistan. This is a different Afghanistan, and they need to adjust and accommodate that change.
No, they've been very nice to me. I just found something here, so I'll tell you. In the 20 years since we've been there, the population of Afghanistan has almost doubled. Did you know that? Kind of amazing.